what he calls titrated.
Mm.
So what you do is you focus on the therapy is you focus on something good and that is pleasant in the body. Then alongside of it, you bring up the feelings of the trauma. And when it becomes, you titrate it in the sense that you only do as much as you can until this good feeling starts to evaporate.
Mm.
Then you go back and you pick a spot where you're going to go back and look, and it's eye. It has to do with eye movement. You pick, like, say, I've got this star. Um, Say, I would pick this star to focus all my good feelings on because of stardust and all the memories that, and plus it's beautiful. And so I would, you pick a spot in the room, and then when it starts to get even a little bit of like, ooh, you can feel it overwhelm the other part, you stop and you look back here at the star, and then, or whatever you choose, you look back and you go back to that good feeling in the body. And then when that's settled, you go back to the trauma and you do a little, maybe a little bit more. Maybe you can do a little bit more, maybe you can't. But it's about this acute sensitivity to the feeling tone, the felt sense of the body,
Mm.
and how the trauma can dissipate once it's released from the grip of the mental, emotional, spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical body. That grips a trauma, and we hold it
Right.
there, so it's forever with us. And then we wonder why we attract what we attract,
Right.
because the trauma's gripped.
Right.
So now, little by little, you're releasing this trauma by focusing on this good. And Oracle Girl takes this to a new level. It's really, it's the way to go. It's just the way to go. And if you can, I mean, are you signed up for the things that she does or no?
I
I
get
can
the
send it
regular
to you.
emails. I get the regular emails, yeah.
Okay, so
I haven't engaged further just because I'm now focused more on the gene keys as
oh,
a
that's right.
pathway, yeah.
And this is a way to deal with trauma. So
Mm.
I would suggest, and even I would suggest looking at it and see how your body responds. I would say it's worth a listen.
Yeah.
And you can just let it go. You don't have to study. It's not about doing anything. It's about
Right.
listening and letting it go. The gene keys is a more and I don't know that it's been a while since I've looked at that, but it's more has more mind understanding
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and consolidating many different traditions, which I really love about that whole thing, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. I
I
know
don't
what
say
I'm
that, but
really
this is so it releases the trauma of the teenage years,
mm,
how we were traumatized, and then it brings the energy that is unique to the teenage years, and it
mm,
purifies the trauma so that the energy can start moving into you, which I think it's so powerful. Maybe it's just me, but I suggest that. But you know what? And she keeps going back again and again. What is it that and if you're focused on gene keys, you go with that. I mean, that's because that's your next step. Your body knows.
right.
I just Ron and I listened to it again this morning, and without doing anything, just being present, it is so powerful. I think, and we're ready for it. So everything's about readiness. So, and
I'm
you'll know.
reminded I'm reminded of in the I Ching it talks about the taming power of the small.
Mhm.
We don't need to do much. It's really the art of being. That's all it is.
It is the art of being. It's so true.
Yeah.
So if you, and whatever, like Ron says, oh, he got frustrated, and oh, I lost track of her, and then I said, well, just let it go, and then I butted in, just let it go, Jim. He says, no, I've got to go back. And so I said, oh, but I had to let that go. Oh, I want to help. I want to help you.
Right.
Blah blah.
Yeah.
I'm well trained.
Mm.
Anyway, you see, I want to help you too. So I don't know, help, but consider.
Yeah.
If it's so freeing, of course you want to share that. Just like the gene keys, you want to share the benefit that you got from the gene, and you do. You can't help it. Even if it's not
Hmm.
with words.
Whenever we
Maybe you
share,
spoke.
whatever we learn, it is a passing on of experience, knowledge, presence, and others, how they absorb it is totally up to them. But I
It.
find it almost like it's almost like I have another level of integration when I share what it is that I've experienced.
I agree because you have to focus on it, don't you? And then focus on it in a way that encapsulates it to the best. It's for me, it's like showing up the best that I can, full
Yeah,
hearted,
even
full
so
hearted,
much
full
as a
being. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, even so much as a
Mhm.
uh, it almost well, it does. It forces you to look at yourself from outside yourself instead of the limited perception of the avatar and its physicality. We are more so looking at the avatar from outside and saying, "Oh, isn't that fascinating how that reaction came up?" Instead of, "Why did this reaction come up?"
Yeah. Yeah. And focusing in on the little nuances and the subtleties and another layer. It's another
Mhm.
layer of um, embodying. I love that word, to embody, to really bring it into all your bodies, your mental, your fit, and all the ones not. This is why they tell you don't eat and talk. Uh, so anyway, whatever. Would you like to just share something from Gene Keys while if you'd like to? I'd like to see how, what strikes you as important, or what did you get from it, and then I'll just be listening and eating. Would that be
Yeah,
okay? Or
sure.
whatever you
Yeah,
want to do,
sure.
but I would like that.
Yeah, well,
Would you?
I can definitely
And then if
share
somebody
what
else
I've
comes on,
found.
we can totally switch it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
So for me, the gift, and I should maybe find another word for it because the word gift is used to describe that transition from shadow into light, or from that lower vibrational manifestation of our beliefs, our paradigms, into a more enlightened, or a what he calls the city frequency, or the city level. And the gift is that transmutation of the shadow. So for me,
Mhm.
when I take a look at areas of my
Mhm.
life where I struggle most, it's in dissatisfaction of the way things are, and that's a predisposition. I remember even about a year ago, sharing with my friends, in these contemplations. Man, I just constantly feel like there's not enough time, and that is rooted in this sense of dissatisfaction with the way things are. But you see, there's a gift to that shadow. It simply needs to be transmuted. And recognizing the shadow allows me to perceive the avatar as behaving quite normally under all the circumstances, but because it's out of fear, it manifests as dissatisfaction. But the gift, and I can't remember all of the terminologies and how they
Mhm.
trans or what words are used to transmute, but the gift is found in that letting go of the dissatisfaction and recognizing that we do hold the future in the present, but that the future we hold, if it's from that state of fear, we're going to continue experiencing that shadow frequency manifestation of that belief, of that paradigm. when we transmute it, it turns into a gift. And with that gift, we are propelled towards the city, which is that it's not even the opposite or the it's like we have the dissatisfaction and then maybe we're looking for bliss, but it's rather a transmutation into a new way of being as a result of shifting the frequency of the paradigm away from that shadow into the gift. And by doing so, we practice that gift and it becomes a way of being in light. And so for me, this so far, what I've been experiencing is a greater clarity of the patterns that I have not been enjoying, or the the recognition that ways of being that I've adopted has resulted in less than desirable circumstances from the perspective of things aren't working or there's a lack of integrity with what it is that I hold as a vision for myself and what I'm currently experiencing. So that friction between those two realities becomes more apparent, which then reveals, or rather grants access to opportunities where I can practice that way of being that is a gift, to bring that gift out of that shadow. So it's not like we try to get rid of it or that we're trying to stifle it or we're trying to say it's bad, but rather recognize it's a form of manifestation that appears when the choices we make are made out of fear versus out of love. And when it's out of love, that's where the gift appears, the gift of that vibration, the gift of that paradigm.
Can I say that this is what you're doing with us as a group? This dynamic as
How
you're
does it
moving.
how does it appear for you?
It because we all have this fear and frustration around money and
Mm,
about understanding how it works in the world. So with a combination of the data, let's put it that way, in your mental and emotional body and your physical body, obviously because it's stored somewhere, what you've learned in the journey that you've been on. And I like the word odyssey now, odyssey, because it feels more encompassing. And Homer had his Odyssey, and
mm,
he met all kinds of things on it, right?
yeah,
But it's always to return home. You know
right.
that he always, his goal was always to return home. So I like the metaphor and the symbol of Homer and the Odyssey. So in this Odyssey, that to me, I'm using this in your own world. You've done this. You are accomplished in just what you're looking. You have a perfected identity or dynamic that is within you. Okay, we all do, because that's
Mm,
the source connection and the purification when we connect with the source connection. So that's the
right.
purification that happens. But you have it in the sense of you've brought it out into the world by, see, part of your odyssey is to be rejected, right?
Right.
And what do you do with
Yes.
that? How firmly
Well,
are you anchored? But like the guy that said, "Oh, you're seditious. We're not. Get out of here," you know.
yeah.
So then, who are you when that happens to you? And that's not the first time that's happened to you in your life. That's happened to you since as a child. That's, to me, I see that as the, in NLP they talk about there's the kite, the wound, and then all
Hmm.
the tail of the kite, all the times that wound has happened again and again in different ways. So,
Yes.
but you also have this amazing thing that you're giving as your gift to us as the dragon riders, and in the Hawaii group, and I forget their name or whatever. And I'm sure you're just doing it in the world because you saw some way you could give your gift And then you went about it, and it had a life of its own, making you do this and making, offering this to you and taking this path and whatever odyssey you were on. Um, and now it's X amount of years later, you come with a sophistication of a perspective of what's going on in the world, and you're offering this deeper layer of perspective of what's going on in the world to us as a group. And not just us, but to the world, to the universe, to all that is,
Yeah.
as some of the data that's held in our bodies and the trauma that's caused. And wait a minute, here's an alternative thing where you can really be all that is, and then just have that be a part of you,
Yeah.
recognize, the sovereignty thing, or whatever you want to call it. But it's to be sovereign in the sense that you are a flame of light, you're the spark of infinity, that's what you are. And then within that, this is how we play in the playground,
Right. Yeah.
anyway. Anyway, I see how I love to hear myself talk. Oh my God. Oh yes.
Oh, we're always like that. Yeah, for sure. Well, especially when we have so much experience to share.
Well,
We
I've
have such
always
a
had
deep.
a lot to share. I
Yeah.
don't know, but yeah, but there, it is seasoned. But see, so are you. You're
Mhm.
seasoned. You're very seasoned, so that you're not shaken by the coming and going of the market, greed and
Right.
fear, greed and fear, greed and fear, and the emotional, mental body. Right. That's the emotional mental and then in the body, the physical plane. So what do? We anchor in the truth of who we are, which then floods those bodies, and so many that we don't know. There's so many etheric bodies that we haven't named, or we don't have senses of. But
Yeah, and I believe that that consciousness purifies, that this vessel literally will not be sufficient for the experience of those bodies. That it's going to be a separate sensation similar to what we see
yeah,
in like the
that's a good way to
teleportation.
look at it.
Yeah.
Well, I think the metaphors are all around us. If we could but see. And I just noticed my life with the frequency of Oracle Girl, my life getting. I'm happy where I held for so long a low grade depression
Mm.
because of having to operate in the world, and there's so much sorrow, and I didn't know what to do, and personal relationships, and having not the dream, which he talks about, the dream that you see the vision of the way of our ultimate glory, and then when things don't measure up, when the outer world doesn't measure up to that, of course you're going to be frustrated.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know for me that you talk about a low grade depression. Well, in December of 2019, knowing that the operation, not knowing what it was called, but knowing that COVID was the operation to usher
Mm.
forward this great reset, and knowing that the people were going to fall for the deceit, they were going to
Mm.
fall for the lies, despite the fact that there have been people of the ages of all walks of wisdom that have warned humanity of this
Yeah.
day, of this
Mhm.
time, that yet still people like. The analogy that I give is, in Alberta, southern Alberta, there is a cliff. It's called Head Smashed In Buffalo Jump. That's the name of the cliff. And it's the translation that the Aboriginals or the natives gave that particular
Oh.
cliff. And it was where they would herd buffalo off the cliff, and they would
Mm.
jump off the cliff to their deaths. And that's the what I visualized in my mind
Mm.
in December of 2019, was that humanity was being corralled and herded, and they were willing to jump off the cliff to avoid the thing that they were so scared of. and that hurtling themselves off the cliff was their way of complying with the demands, right? And witnessing that, for me, it was not a low key depression at all.
Right.
In fact, I descended into nihilism because I was just like, what's the point of even trying to help these buffalo? And it hurt a lot. It hurt a lot. That year was very, very difficult. One of the darkest years of my life. Out of that was a gift because I
Mhm.
went into solitude. I went into study and I went deep into my own self reflection of what it is that I need to do just for myself. And through that, gave gave birth, so to speak, to these concepts, these ideals that we can all start to practice our sovereignty immediately. In fact, it's sovereignty isn't something we need to go get. We're practicing it automatically.
We're practicing it automatically, but we don't see it. We can't name it.
Correct.
We can't differentiate it. And I'm just going to say that this journey, this odyssey, is what you were born for, and why you had the parents that you did and the life that you did.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
you've gone to this, you've seen this precipice before
I
in a different
remember
way.
the first time that I practiced lawful noncompliance, and
Hmm.
oh boy, did it ever piss off my dad that I was right,
Well,
you know? Yeah. And so that manifested into the government being the dad, that I knew how
mhm,
to become lawfully non-compliant with dad's demands.
exactly.
Hmm.
That's
And there's a
exactly
shadow to
right.
that. There's a
But you
shadow to
don't.
that.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the gift you're giving us, is that
Right.
how to claim that inherent integrity of who we are, and you are giving that. You are, without a doubt. I mean, you
Hmm.
may not be saying it, but you. I mean, you may be saying it, but the main thing is that energetically you're transmitting it, because
Right.
that's walking your walk. Yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, I feel just so grateful to be able to have this kind of resonance, to have this kind of frequency that I can like look at and learn to create a tolerance for even greater, of this frequency.
Indeed.
So how did
Indeed.
you see? You created that tolerance when you went through COVID, when it was
Yes.
released and mirrored out in the world for you.
Yes. To yeah. It was almost like well, you know what? Actually, I can relate this to another instance when I was quite young. I would have been 7, probably not even 7 years old. My sister was 5 years younger than I was, and she was incredibly rebellious right from the get-go. And but
Mm,
what she did was that she would do it with what shall we say? Well, I was 7 years old, and I recognized how stupid she was in the sense that to give you an analogy, well, and not even an analogy, it's real life experience.
mm,
She and I shared a room, and she would always get up out of bed after bedtime, like many kids do, and they come out and saying, "Oh, I need a
mhm,
glass of water," or "I need to brush
mhm,
my teeth again," or you know. But she would do it, uh, and my father would then chase her back to bed, of course,
mm,
not in any playful manner, and proceed
mm,
to beat her. And I would be in the room, on the other side of the room, watching this occur. And of course, out of survival, I would just pretend like I was asleep.
mhm,
But I can remember so many times just, yeah, at first feeling empathetic towards her, like, oh my God, she's going to get hit again. And then as time went on, as the months wore on, and this would occur every night, I would watching her get beat every night,
Mhm.
eventually I got to the point where I resented her for getting up. What are you doing? What? Why the fuck? And of course,
Yeah.
I didn't have that language when I was 7, but
Yeah.
why are you doing this? Are you so stupid?
Mhm.
And that was such a prevalent feeling,
Mhm.
especially watching the buffalo jump off the cliff, was just, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to yourself? Why don't you stop? You know, not why don't you comply, but
Right.
why do you go back to
And
your
buying
abuser,
into it. Yeah.
and why do you seek more
Mhm.
abuse? What is wrong with you? And that resentment that I had towards my sister was certainly prevalent in 2020 and even into 2021 when the vaccine mandates came out. Like, it was just the rage that I felt towards humanity for being complicit with such inhumanity was was boiling over all the time, and it translated into loss of relationships because of how, like, desperately seeking other people to be aligned with in thought and mind was was it it possessed me to find somebody who could think the way that I could, and
Mhm.
to find no one was so isolating. But the gift as well, the isolation was the gift, because it allowed me to, as time went on, self reflect and realize, see, here I am, still frustrated with myself in the ways that I still don't practice my sovereignty. And that was where I was recognizing, I'm seeing these people on the outside of me as myself, judging them in the same way I self judge, because I can only see myself. I can't see them. That's
Mhm.
impossible. I can't even love them. I can only see myself. And that transition there is what caused me to bring things back into a gift state where it's like, okay, I know how to help. And I also know that I'm not going to be able to help everyone. And that's when I went away from seeking followers to being present to the leaders. That I would say is the biggest shift that I experienced. And now that's translating into other areas of my life. I'm, like the onions of the layers of the onion,
Mhm.
peeling back and be like, oh, look at how else that pattern manifests. Oh, look at how else I'm showing this judgment. Look at how else I'm staying in that judgment and blocking myself, even putting up barriers and hedges against hope.
Can I, what's coming up in this interchange for me, because I believe that this is what I see as a dynamic, is that you come together and these two energies interact and something new emerges out of the two energies that have interacted. So I'm going to say this is what's coming up for me, and I see clearly as a new part of me that's emerging, that is you me. Do you know what I'm saying? You me. It's
Mm-hmm.
like not just me, but as a result of this. And what I'm saying, seeing for me myself is the point of origin. Is that when we judge or we find ourselves in reaction, like I had something similar. I was the smart one in the family. I sat behind my father when we went for rides on
Mm-hmm.
Sunday
Mm-hmm.
because he couldn't hit me.
Right.
My sister then was left to sit, you know,
Yep.
behind my mother. And guess who
In
was
range.
yeah, she was
Yeah.
the sitting duck. And believe me, I thought, or like they caught this on film. We were having a little tea party, and when Donna looked away, I grabbed her cookies and put them
Yep.
on my plate. kind of thing. And she didn't know it. And she was like, like real blissful.
Yeah.
Laugh about it. We laugh about the sitting duck, but then it's like, hey, Donna, you want to trade? I have a nickel. Would you like to trade this big nickel for that little dime? And she goes, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Human dynamic, in action without conscience, with no prefrontal cortex, with no thought of right or wrong, or just for the advantage. And when you're
Hmm.
in an abusive situation, you're looking for the advantage.
Yep.
What do I need to do to take control of this situation? I need
Hmm.
to not sit behind my father. I mean, sit over there. Well, from that side of the
Yeah.
car. But what
Oh, your video paused. I believe there is a lack or a loss of connection.
okay, so I'm going in and out because my connection is not real stable. But
Now you're back.
that was very long-winded. But it needed to be said first. I think it's like when you hold a judgment, which is a mental, either, and Oracle Girl talks about this, accept or Buddha and all that. You don't accept or reject, because when you do that, you're holding something in the mental and physical body and the emotional body. You're holding
Hmm.
it there, and that's got to be fear, because it's not full. Anything
Right.
that is not full and complete is always lacking in fullness. So there's always that missing piece, and there's an element of fear when you feel separate. But
Yes.
we're in full and complete. We are at one.
Hmm.
And then love, that's to me love, the fullness that shows up. Okay, so the point of origin of where you're coming from has transmuted. It's moved from, for me as well, I'm not interested in taking advantage of my sister anymore, or throwing her out as the sacrificial lamb, or her being the
Right.
sacrificial lamb. I'm not interested in manipulating the situation so that's what she is, or at least as far as I'm aware. I mean, that may be
Hmm.
happening on another level that I'm not aware of, and I'll make room for that. But the point of origin, you're coming now from that. This is just emerging out of you in a fullness.
Yeah.
And it can take correction. And whether it's you correcting the flow of things or somebody else coming in, which is always harder, coming in and correcting, oh,
Hmm.
let's not talk about that. Let's talk about this. And you being able to be like water, say, well, is that really the direction it's going, or, what's going? That's kind of how I see. I really feel your gift is so full and complete in exactly what this world needs right now.
Thank you.
And it needs to be, you know how it's an idea, it's in an etheric plane, it's in the esoteric bodies, and it is worldwide. It's not just you, but it's a frequency of being in, of your being to offer, to embody. And
Right.
that frequency needs to have more meat put on it, more attention, more thought, more, gain more substance in the, and then it becomes an idea whose time has come.
Right.
The 100th monkey kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so many people feel that, are in touch with that. The Platonian idea of the thrice removed from the truth and all of that is that we see the truth, and all of a sudden there is nothing else. That is not acceptable anymore. It's not
Hmm.
acceptable to slap your child in public or to beat your kids anymore. It's not, you go to jail. It's totally not acceptable.
Yeah.
My dad, he grew up with being beat, so that's how you discipline children.
That's
You
how we do
know,
it. Like
yeah,
when we feel like we're out of power, we will
yeah,
gravitate towards behavior where we witnessed people exercise power and get their way.
because we're stuck in that paradigm. So we're either
Yep.
one or the other.
That's right. Either in control or out of it.
Right. And that means, um, there's a wonderful educational website, and it's called Conscious Discipline. And
Hmm.
her name is Becky Bailey. She developed this in like 2012, and she works. She teaches teachers how to be in the classroom, and then eventually just parenting. That's another one of like, oh my God, this is so good. And she speaks in layman's terms so that there's not any sense of spirituality. It's just like what works, and she shows you. I mean, it's amazing. She's amazing. And anyway, it's just, I hold her in high esteem because of how she's able to uh, be fully whole with living and in the classroom and with children, and how to turn them around in little techniques. And she's
Yeah.
like amazing. You will know. You have 5 kids, right?
Yeah.
How old are they? Or if we
The
don't have to
oldest
talk about it, but I
will
just wondered.
the oldest will be 20 this year, and the youngest is
Oh my
what is the youngest would be 13.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have to look. You have to listen to this. Speaking from Oracle Girl, because it's all about the teenage years. And you don't have to see your kids. You just have, how you hold them, and you're their father. Oh my God, Paul, you really, I'm going to really say yes on this. But that's like shh, little pressure
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
over here on this side.
Okay. Well,
I'm just letting all that go
let's look
because
at
yeah, okay. Not just half of you is showing.
yeah.
Are we
Now,
going to like market analysis now? Let's
now
do it.
legit, I'm gonna open up some charts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. What a
Oh,
wonderful
you know,
conversation.
I got so much clarity from this talk. Thank you so much, too. I
Yeah,
totally agree. Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Now we're working.
Now, what are we
Okay.
in? We're in what?
Well, I'm going to start off with the silver chart because
Oh,
this
okay.
is
Yeah.
really the big news of the week for sure. I'm gonna zoom out into the weekly chart so we can see on
Okay.
a larger scale what the price action has been. Look at this here. This is back in 2003,
Oh,
where the price was bottoming out at 450 for
wow.
an ounce.
Oh,
And then here, 2004 is where we started to see some bullish movement, where it started to climb upwards and in a fair amount of growth. I mean, from 2003 to 2008, only 5 years, silver went up 352%.
wow. So it went to
And
what amount there?
at that point there, that peaked out in March of 2008, it peaked out
Yeah.
at $21 an
Oh,
ounce. Yeah.
wow.
But then, as you can see, a big drop. In fact, by November, it had dropped by 59% down to about $8. Is that saying right? It's about 8.45.
That was the housing
Yep,
thing. Yeah, right in there
exactly.
here. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's important to note whenever we see these kinds of highs get created. I mean, we go back in time, it was never that high. Oh, no, there it was over here. This was back in 1980.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, back in 1980, it peaked out at this is $47.60 an ounce.
Wow.
Remember
What
when I
was
was
happening then?
Oh, well,
Oh,
remember when interest rates went up to like 20 some
oh yes.
percent? Yeah,
Yes,
huh?
I do.
This was right before that.
Ah,
Mhm. And so that spike there kind of set the stage for what is a high price for silver. I mean, let's go
wow.
back in time even further. We can see that here, this is back in this is the 30s and 40s back
Oh,
over here. This
wow.
was 94 cents.
Wow.
Yeah, and it barely moved that whole time. But then when we started in the 70s, that's where
Wow.
things started to take off. And then we saw this big spike there, 79 and 80.
Was that the
Now,
gold, the gold thing where they took it off the gold? The dollar
yeah,
wasn't linked to
72,
72.
1972 is when they took
Okay.
it off. Yeah.
Okay.
So this price action here occurred, but we can see how this high that was created in 2008, this was April of 2008, before it dipped down, that high is pretty important because we can see that
Oh yeah.
there was a similar high
Oh
right here.
yeah.
Whenever we see these kinds of pivot points, we call them, where it goes
Yeah.
up and then dips back down again,
Okay.
those are crucial levels for one reason or the other. Sometimes it's psychological, sometimes it's just the bankers made enough money and they're moving the market the opposite direction, or whatever the case may be.
Were they
But,
flooding the market with silver paper? You know,
but in 2008, absolutely.
and how about all this time where it was not, it was pretty low. They weren't bothering
Even
with silver at that time.
even in here, there was manipulation happening in the markets. The manipulation began in the 80s. Well, arguably, the manipulation started from the beginning.
Yeah.
Even in before the 20s, it was a fabricated crash. They wanted to take the liquidity from the people as much as possible. And so the opportunities of the 20s gave rise to what we call the roaring 20s, where things were good, things were abundant.
Yeah.
But that wealth was liquidated in, in going into the 30s. And so that was like kind of like a big accomplishment for the market movers. They were like, ooh, look at how the markets respond, look at how the people respond to all this price action. And progressively, they've been using that 7, 8 year cycle in the markets to liquidate the wealth from the people. That's
Now
what
tell
they
me,
do.
what does that mean? Liquidate the wealth. How would that look? You mean take money away from them and by inflating stocks, and then stocks go way down, and so then everybody loses money?
Good question. What I'll do is that I'll zoom in here into these final weeks of 2008. So here's April. Yeah, this is March and April. Actually, that's March. So March 17th, the week of March 17th, it peaked out at $21.31.
Okay.
What occurred during this time here, especially as this as this was left. So this price action here came up and it was a big rise. I mean, we take a look at where it was in 2005. It rose 127% in a matter of 252 days. So what happened leading up to this time was that a bunch of people made some money. And what they did was that they told their friends during this time, look at how much money I made. Then the next rally occurred, and this is what we call this here, what we would call a recovery in the market, because it used to be that high. Go back in time, remember, it used
Uh-huh.
to be that high.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's a recovery. Yeah,
So
that makes
we
sense.
call this a recovery because it came back to those old levels.
Yeah.
But after the recovery, there's a period of consolidation, and sure enough,
Oh,
the price consolidated inside this range right here. There was this high and this
oh,
low,
okay.
and it went across, and it never left that
Okay.
until 2008, January 2008.
Uh,
And so this period of the market was what we call accumulation.
mm-hmm.
During accumulation, in these few weeks, there was a rush. People went out and bought those contracts for silver and gold, and they were all excited because look at how well it's
Yeah.
performing. It used to be way down here. It went up 150%. It went up great amounts, and it's going to go up again. This time it's going to go up again 150%. And so they buy as it's going up in this area here. When the price comes down, a lot of those people are like, oh, that's okay, that's okay. It's going to go up, it's going to go up. But then it doesn't, and it goes down. And when it goes down like this, people start to panic
Yeah.
and they liquidate their positions. They
Okay.
give the money back, or they give the
Oh,
silver back at a lesser price, and there's a loss.
okay. Okay. So now I get it. So it's like selling back when you liquidate, you sell back at a loss.
That's right. And
Does that always
when
occur when you liquidate? It's always at a loss?
doesn't always, I mean, you can liquidate at a profit.
That's true. So it's just selling your stock is what
Yep,
liquidating is. Selling your whatever it is you're selling. Okay.
that's right. But the term is used in trading to signify that the money is being exchanged very quickly
Um,
to and who is it, who's buying it? Because if there's a seller, there has to be a buyer.
okay.
So who's buying it from all
Oh,
those people that were panicking?
who is buying it?
Oh, that would be the people who sold to all the greedy people here.
That's the game you play. That's day trading, right?
Yeah, that's right. But you can do it a day
Yeah.
trading, you can do it
Okay.
on like on an annual basis if you want. Like we're zoomed out quite a bit. You think about it, here is where people would have been just going crazy over silver, but then it dropped 51%. Well, they bought from the smart money that was selling during this run because they already made their money over here. So they just
Just
so
understanding a little bit more this whole thing of um,
the smart
they don't
money
really care
sells.
where the market goes. Yeah.
That's right. They don't care where it goes. They're only responding to the emotions of the market. And so they
Right.
know to sell during accumulation. They don't sell
Yeah.
during the reaccumulation or
Recovery.
uh,
Yeah.
the recovery stage. They don't sell
Yeah.
during that. They sell during this, and this is the same strategy that I use. I'm going to be selling to all the people who think they're coming in at the right time.
Yeah.
And then after they're done thinking that they're going to make a bunch of money and they start panicking, I'll be buying from them until it bottoms out. I'll be buying their assets. And people say, oh, that's mean. It's like, well, it's a zero sum game. Would you like the banks to receive that money or me? And further to that, would you like to receive that money or would you like that money to be given to the banks? Because it's either or. If they're going to liquidate,
Well,
let's
it's
make
like
sure.
me sitting behind my father.
Yeah,
It's like me sitting behind my father. I'm
right.
going to take the position. I'm not going to set
Yep,
myself up for that. Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
Okay.
So,
And we
after
are playing
this,
that game when we're little. Yeah.
yep, totally. So after this, what did
Sorry
we
for
experience
interrupting you.
next? Oh no, it's okay. It's these are good points you bring up. So it drops,
Yeah.
and it drops, 51% or whatever it was, 50, 52,
Yeah.
53. Well, then what happens? Recovery. Back up 132%. Now, it took 700 days,
So you have to
but then
wait. You have to learn to wait.
that's right. So here, this is when you buy and you look like an idiot because it's not going up. But as time goes on, you're starting to make some money. But you don't sell. You keep on waiting because what you're looking for is the accumulation phase.
Oh, so
Because from here, I say, oh yeah, you wait and you're doing good because that's 123% coming back. Again, it's just recovering. So it's coming back 160, 150, 160%. But then after that, you keep on holding on because, oh, look at this. Even if you say, oh, you know what, this is enough. I'm not going to go all the way to the top. I'm just going to sell here. Well, look at that, 358%.
okay, yeah.
That's who makes the money. It's the people who look stupid buying down low. And every time it happens, every time I've ever bought low, I've been told, what are you doing? It used to be up here.
Hold on, my husband's calling. Hold on. Sorry. Hi, I'm on the call with Paul. Do you want to listen in?
No,
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to tell you, I probably won't get there until 1 o'clock because of the traffic.
Oh, it's that bad. I'm so sorry.
Yes, I got to LAX 30 minutes ago. Still haven't reached Venice Boulevard.
Oh, I'm sorry. What a drag.
Yeah.
Can you
So-
stop? Can you stop and just walk or something? Just stand up so you're not so crippled when you get there?
Yeah, that's Bridges Road when I get there.
Oh, yeah, good. That's a good place to stop. Great.
All
Okay.
right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. He's going to his granddaughter's graduation party. That's like normally 2.5 hours away, and now it's going to be 3.5 hours away. So he's going to be in the car a long time.
Is that
So,
increased
I
traffic
feel
from the protests and
Yeah.
violence? Yeah.
It might be. It might be because it's in LA.
Mm-hmm.
It's going through LA. You know, Paul, could I make and I won't, if it's okay to make comments. You know what? You know that the digital market eventually is going to be, the transfer is going to occur.
Yes.
So now it's about picking the right vehicle for that transfer to occur.
That's right.
And then it seems like if you support a certain way of that AI is going to manifest, that's a way of controlling it, follow the money kind of thing. It's like if you invest in, it's like, say, Singular or whatever that is, Singularity. So I'm just like, all these little lights are lighting up, and it's just good to say it out loud. It reinforces it in my memory. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're most welcome.
Yeah.
Most welcome. So next, what would we have after all that accumulation? The crash. This was April 2011, and this is when I was this period of time here when silver rose like this. This is when my ears were perked as to what opportunities can I look for next. And after this time, it was throughout 2012 and 2013, I started buying.
Okay.
And I bought and I bought and I bought and I bought and I kept on buying.
Mm.
And here, this is December 2019. Right here.
And I can't see what that is.
That
What
price
does that
there
say?
is
17? 7?
1780. Yeah. Now remember
okay.
what we're looking for. Remember what we're looking for is we're looking for the recovery.
The recovery.
So here, this high price is $49.83.
Mm.
So we're not even recovered yet.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to zoom out. Look at that. This is present day right here. We are just now breaking into what used to be the accumulation. Just now.
Yeah.
And so my strategy here is to keep on holding on, because we're going to go and we're going to blast past this point. Again, this is macroeconomics, so it's going to take a while. I would imagine probably another year to 2 years. But this price point here, once we reach it, I'm going to start selling. And I'm going to continue to sell over time as the price goes up. And that's what we call dollar cost averaging. In this case here, I'm cashing out higher volumes of silver as the price goes up.
And this is why you recommend a kind of a nearby gold and silver dealer kind of thing, so you can sell there. It's an ease of transfer.
It's wonderful to have gold and silver in a vault. There's no question, because you can instantly, like with a click of a button, you can place your order and they'll transfer you your cash right away. But of course, if I can have the same level of liquidity available to me by having a local dealer, I'll take it.
And I don't want to hold it in a vault. I I feel the eventuality of them, and I'd love to discuss this at greater length about the event of the government saying, "Oh, you've got to turn in all your gold. We'll buy your gold and silver. You have to turn it in."
Yeah.
So, and what do we do around those two? That on the approach of it, and then the after side. I'd love at some point, and I think other people would like that because we're all holding gold and silver, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I
what do
can
we
tell
do
you,
with it?
the first thing that I
Okay.
recommend is because silver is going to revalue a lot at a higher rate than gold, and I've
Right.
shared this with you before.
Yes.
I think that silver will be about 1/10 the price of gold.
Yes.
Well, right now we just broke that 1%, right? So it was only 1/100th the price of gold just last week. This breakout signifies to me that we're headed up. Now, again, it's going to take time. And
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay
Yeah.
with that because I'm not ready to start selling my silver yet for another 38% growth.
Mhm.
That's when I'm going to start selling. And
Yeah.
I'll probably sell whatever I put in. Like all of the amount that I put in, whatever that amount was, is how much I'll sell at this point. So that like not the volume of silver, but the dollar value that I put
Oh.
in,
Oh. Okay.
how much dollars I will sell.
So it's sort of like Vegas. You take you keep what you invested and then play with the winnings, kind
That's
of
right.
thing. Yeah.
That's right. I'm going to withdraw my investment. So now I
Yes.
haven't lost a penny. From there, I will continue to rise. I will let the rest of the value continue to go up while we accumulate. And as we accumulate at various levels, and
Yeah.
I'll know where those levels
Yeah.
are based on the price action. When we
Okay.
see a big spike, whenever we see a big spike, we always see kind of an equalization of that
Yeah.
price action, right? It's like it spikes up and then we see an equalization. That's when I know it's time to sell because that equalization period, I mean, if I sell here, that really is the best position to sell.
Okay.
Sure, I
Yeah.
mean, obviously it'd be nice if I got it all, but there's no way of nailing
Well,
that. No
and
way of
that's a false expectation.
right.
That's yeah.
So whenever we see the spike, it's going to drop, and I'll hold until we try that next little impulse. And that
Yeah.
impulse right there is just kind of like the equalization of this
Yeah.
big rocket surge, right?
Yeah.
That's when I'm going to sell.
I get it. You know the seven laws of the Hermetic seven laws. Have you heard? I just watched those on YouTube.
Heard of them? I don't know them.
Oh, go on YouTube and just look up the seven, and they have another one that you're talking about, The Alchemist. So, and it's this beautiful. I think you would really enjoy. I really enjoy this. It's called After School, SKOOL. That's the website for. Here he is. Is this After School? I don't have my glass. Where's my glasses? Oh, here. It looks like him because he draws. Yes, After School.
Okay, yeah.
And then there's a woman who talks about the alchemy of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And just let's watch it for a minute. How long
sure.
is it?
This one here is 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just watch it for a minute.
Sure.
He's so much fun. I mean, if you'd like.
When I do this, can you hear it?
No.
No? Okay, then I have to share it differently because otherwise it doesn't go through.
But it's got the written part on it.
It does, yep. But I can do it this way as well.
Okay. All right.
I can bring it in and we can listen to it.
Look at how intense your eyes. Look at your eyes right now. The intensity is like, I can
Oh,
feel the
really?
intensity coming out of your eyes. I'm focusing now.
Here we go.
Here I go. Oh.
All right. Now we'll be able to listen to it together.
Okay.
Does
We
that
are
come
currently
through?
in the midst of a Hermetic revival, and at
There's
the heart
the-
of this return of ancient knowledge is the
Isn't it
7
beautiful?
Hermetic principles. The 7 Hermetic principles are laws that govern this reality. These governing principles are most well known in modern times through the book The Kabbalion. However, their origins are as obscure and ancient as the mystical figure that they are attributed to, Hermes Trismegistus. There is vivid dispute as to the true identity of Hermes Trismegistus. Contemporary academia believes this character to be entirely fictitious, a compilation of Hellenistic viewpoints that was compiled by what you would call an ancient think tank, while modern mystics and the more spiritually inclined alike know him to be dated way further back than the Hellenistic period, for he is the transmitter and teacher of ancient knowledge to the prophet Moses, if not Moses himself, for he has been affirmed by early Kabbalists as Moses. Suffice it to say that these principles, although best preserved and transmitted through the vehicle of Hermeticism, are of such a universal and timeless origin that they truly belong to time immemorial, for they are indeed timeless and ancient wisdom that belongs to no one school of thought. The principles are 7. First, we have the law of mentalism, then the law of correspondence, then the law of vibration, then the law of polarity. After that, we have the law of rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. The principle of mentalism, the all is mind, the universe is mental. This principle embodies the truth that all is mind. It explains that the all, which is the substantial reality underlying all outward manifestations and appearances, which we call the material universe, is in short, spirit. And spirit, although undefinable, is likened unto the infinite living mind. For mind and spirit are truly one and the same, interchangeable terms to the Hermetic. Being aware of this first universal principle of mentalism can directly improve our lives by understanding that before anything gets drawn into the manifested physical outward world, it is first harnessed through the creative intelligence of the